I just wanted to congratulate everyone on completing another week of a marathon. You all are doing great. It looks like we're kind of settling into a new dynamic of distancing. I think we're in a really good pace for a marathon. Just wanted to give you a few skills that you can have in your back pocket in the coming days and weeks. One is radical acceptance, and this is from DBT Marsha Linehan. So radical acceptance is kind of accepting things as they are. And when you accept something as it is, you don't have to like it. In fact, you can hate it. You can absolutely hate it. But when you accept something, it reduces your suffering. So if I had to get through a brick wall and I banged my head against it or I threw my body against it, I wouldn't get through it and I would be the only one that's hurting. But when I say, well, it's a giant brick wall, it is what it is, and then I move on, I'm not suffering so much and I'm not frozen. I'm actually moving forward. So as we can argue with reality. We can say this isn't happening, or what did I do to deserve this? And we can just fight with ourselves, or we can accept it as it is and move on. And the reason I'm teaching you these skills is because it'll help you kind of cope and have a toolbox to turn to when things get rough. So the next skill I wanted to teach you about was self-soothing, and self-soothing is pretty self-explanatory. You use your five senses to do things that you enjoy. I'm trying to think of, I like to have a cup of coffee, and in the evening I don't like to drink caffeine, but I love the sound of a Keurig. I love to put my cup in it, hear the little pop, listen to the sound of the water warming and then of it streaming out into my mug, and I pick it up and I smell it and it's wonderful. So those are the kind of things that are self-soothing, and that could be anything for anyone. That could be going to the edge of a lake and fishing and smelling and hearing and tasting, and it can be a whole self-soothing experience. What else could you do? It could be listening to music, taking a hot bath. There are many activities that bring you self-soothing. I made the effort last evening to have 0 screens on from 6 p.m. to the time I walked into work in the morning. And I enjoyed a quiet house last night. I read a little bit. I played outside with my kids and went to bed, and then woke up in the morning and played some great music, and it really was an escape from the current situation just for a moment, and it's made this day a lot better. So I would encourage you once again to limit your screen time. And the last self-soothing, or the last DBT skill I wanted to teach you is accepts. So there are several things, and it's like the word accepts written down. So the A is for activities. So you do something. I'm going to go back for a second. These are actually called distracting techniques. So it's a skill to distract yourself from your problems, and it's okay and it's healthy, because sometimes that's the only way we can cope. This is an emotional experience, and distracting yourself from this experience will help you cope better when it becomes more emotional and possibly more difficult. So the first one is activities. Like I said, you go do something. You do an activity, take your mind off of the stressor. The other C is contributing. That means doing something for someone else. We all do that a lot every day, but maybe this is more intentional. This is your choice. Maybe something for your spouse or your children, or volunteering to mow someone's lawn. Something different that you don't normally do every day, but when you intentionally do something for someone else or give in some way, kind of helps you step outside of your own reality for a moment, and it can give you some sort of relief. The other one is comparison. Saying to yourself, this could be worse. So you think of the most catastrophic thing in your mind you can possibly think of, and we can all think of tons of those, I'm sure. And you can probably actually up it with one thing worse. And this is a true clinical skill, believe it or not. This is a natural coping skill for lots of people. So when you think of your current situation, you can think of something 1,000 times worse. And the next one is with emotions, and that's when you intentionally do something emotional, the opposite of how you're feeling. So if you're feeling really stressed and anxious, you might watch something relaxing on TV. Or if you're feeling really mad and angry, you might watch a comedy, but you really do something that makes you feel emotional. Sometimes when I listen to classical music, it can actually make me feel emotional. It's a very pleasant, soothing experience for me, and it can bring emotion. And depending on the type of music, it can evoke a certain amount of emotion, a type of emotion. So if I was stressed, I might want to listen to something like happy Vivaldi Spring. I think it's Vivaldi Spring, happy music. And the next one is actually pushing away. This is saying to yourself, I'll deal with this later. I'll put this problem on the shelf. I can't add this problem and this problem and this problem today. And this problem can wait. And you focus on kind of not dealing with what you can't deal with at that moment. If you have a lot of things coming in at once, you kind of prioritize in your mind what you want to focus on, and there's a time and a place to get things off that shelf and deal with them. Today might not be a day to deal with a certain problem, and that's called pushing away or putting it on the shelf. And the thoughts are, the T is the thoughts, and what you want to do is kind of use your thoughts. You can count to 10. You can look at the colors in the room. You can read a book. You can use your thoughts to distract yourself from your problems. Sometimes when I'm stressed or something, I might make a recipe in my head or think of a store list, or just using your thoughts to kind of step out of a really stressful situation. Now, you don't want to do that all the time, but it's more intentional to distract yourself when you're worried about things and kind of in a moment where you're overthinking. And the last one, of course, is with sensations. You can, this is more for self-harm, and I know that's probably not an issue, but holding ice in your hands, something that's really, really cold, or maybe having a cold milkshake. I'm trying to think of a way to do this for healthy people or a little more balanced people. Eat something like a sour lime, or suck on a sour piece of candy. You just kind of pull from your sensations. To me, it's kind of like self-soothing, but it's a really more dramatic sensation that you want to create. Really loud music. Sit in your car and turn the music up as loud as you can. And those are the techniques. I know this was a little minute, 10 minutes. We didn't have stride this week. I'm hoping next week to put up a daily activity calendar, something that you can participate in daily, to step away, maybe 5 minutes here or there, and I'll let you know the location. It will be very close, if not within the building. And that's it for today. I wish you well. I wish you safety. Enjoy your blessings and have a great weekend. Bye.